She was starving, but her offer for food shattered my heart. The wind outside the spaceport was sharp like knives. Snow and ash mixed in the air, making the night cold and cruel. Jared pulled his coat tighter as he closed the steel door of his small food shack. The day had been slow, few travelers, fewer buyers, just another shift on this forgotten edge of the galaxy. He turned off the light and was about to head back to his bunk when he saw something move near the trash bins. At first, he thought it was just a shadow, until he saw a small figure stumble into the light. It was a girl. No older than 20 by human standards, but clearly not human. Her skin had a soft violet hue, and her eyes were too large, glowing faintly in the dark. Her clothes were torn and dirty, barely covering her thin body. She wasn't wearing shoes. Her feet bled with every step. Jared's hand went to his stun baton out of habit. You never knew what kind of alien might try to scam you, or worse, rob you. But then, she looked at him. Not with anger, not with fear, with hunger. Real hunger. Desperate, deep, and hopeless. She didn't say much, just 3 words. Her voice was soft, barely a whisper through the wind. Just one meal. Jared paused. He looked around. No guards, no patrols, no one else on the street. This part of the colony was silent. Are you alone? He asked. She nodded slowly, swaying like she might fall. He could walk away. It wasn't his problem. Plenty of aliens came to this colony and ended up like her, lost, broken, forgotten. Some were spies, others were thieves. Helping her could get him in trouble with security. But still, something about her eyes made his stomach twist. Without saying a word, he unlocked the door and waved her in. Just for 5 minutes, he muttered. Inside the shack, the warmth hit her like a wave. She collapsed near the heating vent. Jared quickly grabbed a bowl from the shelf and poured the last of his lentil stew into it. It wasn't fancy, but it was hot. He handed it to her. She didn't say thank you. She didn't even speak. She just cried. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she ate, spoon shaking in her hand. She didn't eat like a beggar. She ate like someone who hadn't had food in days. Jared sat across from her, silent. He didn't know what to say. After a while, she spoke again. I can repay you, she said. Her voice was trembling, but not with money. He frowned. I don't want anything. Just eat. She looked down. That's not how it works. Not where I come from. He leaned forward. Where do you come from? She didn't answer right away. Her fingers dug into her ragged coat. Slowly, she pulled something out. It was small, glowing faintly blue. A shard. No, something more. Jared's eyes widened. It was a data crystal. Not just any crystal. This one was old. Forbidden tech. Illegal to even possess. Where did you get that? He asked, quietly. She clutched it to her chest. I took it from them before I escaped. Escaped from who? Her eyes darted to the window. Her whole body tensed. They're looking for me. I don't have much time. Jared stood up, heart pounding. This wasn't just some runaway. This girl had something people would kill for. You need to leave, he said. Now, if anyone sees you here. I tried to hide. She whispered. No one would help me. I only wanted a meal. And then the floor shook. Boom. A distant thud. Not thunder. An explosion. Jared ran to the window and looked outside. The trash bins were on fire. Something moved in the shadows. Figures in armor. Armed. Silent. Professional. They had found her. Get up, Jared shouted. She didn't argue. She clutched the crystal and ran to the back door with him. Jared grabbed his stun baton and his emergency bag. He didn't know why he was helping her. He didn't even know her name. But deep inside, something told him. This girl wasn't just another stray alien. She was something more. And someone wanted her dead. As the back door slammed shut behind them, and the night swallowed them up again, Jared whispered, What the hell did I just get myself into? She looked up at him, shivering. You gave me food, and now I'll give you the truth. The cold wind slammed into them again as Jared and the alien girl ran through the back alleys of the colony. Lights flashed in the sky. Search drone. He kept his head low, dragging her behind metal crates and old cargo. Who are they? Jared asked between breaths. She didn't look back. Hunters, not police. Worse. Jared's heart beat hard. What had he gotten into? He had just offered food to a hungry girl. Now armed men were burning his food shack to the ground. The girl stumbled. Jared caught her before she fell. Her feet were bleeding again. This way, he said, pulling her toward the service tunnels beneath the old factory. Hardly anyone went down there anymore. That's where junkies hid, and rats ruled. Still safer than the surface. The tunnel was damp and smelled like rust and oil. Jared used his flashlight to guide them through. When he finally stopped, they were deep underground, inside an old water pump room. "We'll rest here," he said, helping her sit. She curled up in a corner, holding the glowing shard close to her chest like it was life itself. Jared finally had time to really look at it. The data crystal pulsed softly, like it was alive. Its surface showed ancient markings, symbols he didn't recognize. "That crystal," he said slowly. "It's not just data, is it?" She looked at him, eyes tired but sharp. "No, it's proof." "Proof of what?" She took a long breath. "They call the planet Zeros. It's not on any official maps, but they use it to mine energy from the core of living beings." Jared blinked. "Wait, what?" She nodded. "Not minerals, not gas, life, organic energy. They found a way to drain it from certain species. My species." Jared felt sick. "So they're farming your people. They called us battery stock." Her voice cracked. "When they tested me, they found something rare in my blood. Stronger energy. So they kept me, studied me, hurt me." He stared at her, jaw clenched. "I escaped with the crystal," she continued. "It has logs, experiments, proof of what they did to us. If I can bring it to the right people, they can't hide it anymore." Jared shook his head. "But why were you alone? Why come here?" "Because everyone else turned me away." I begged. "No one wanted trouble. I was just a worthless alien. Remember?" Her voice wasn't angry, just tired. He looked at the crystal again. "This thing, if it's real, it could get you killed." She met his eyes. "It's already gotten me hunted." Jared sighed, sitting against the wall. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then said quietly, "Larry." He nodded. "I'm Jared." They sat in silence for a few moments. Then Jared's comm device buzzed. He looked down and froze. A warning alert. Unknown signal detected. Location compromised. He stood up fast. "They found us." Larry stood, wincing. Jared helped her grab the crystal and opened a hidden maintenance hatch in the floor. "We can't keep running," he said. "We need a plan." "There is a place," Larry said. "Somewhere safe, but it's far, off-world. I don't have a ship." She looked up. "I know someone who does." Jared paused. "Someone you trust?" "No, but someone who hates them more than I do." That was all they had to go on. They crawled through the narrow pipe until they emerged behind an abandoned supply yard. Jared used a stolen cloak to hide Larry's form. The colony was tense. More guards, more drones. He knew they were looking for her. As they moved through the shadows, Larry whispered, "They won't. As long as I live, they'll keep coming." Jared didn't answer, but he felt the weight of the truth pressing on his shoulders. This wasn't about kindness anymore. This was about doing what no one else would. They reached the lower port hours later. The place was a mess. Old ships, criminals, smugglers, forgotten parts of forgotten worlds. Larry pointed toward a half-burnt ship at Dock 7. "He's inside," she whispered. Jared knocked twice on the door. It slid open with a creak, and a thick voice said, "You brought her." A large reptilian alien stepped forward. Scars ran down his arms. He looked at Larry, then at Jared. "I said I'd take her off-world. I didn't say anything about you." Jared squared his shoulders. "We're both going." The alien growled. "You got credits." Larry held up the crystal. The alien's eyes widened. "Is that real?" She nodded. "You get us to safety. It's yours." He stared at it for a long time, then slowly opened the ship's hatch. "Get inside," he muttered. "You've got a death wish." Jared and Larry stepped aboard. The hatch closed behind them. The ship rumbled to life, lifting into the dark sky. But deep in Jared's gut, something told him this journey was just beginning. The ship shook as it left the colony's atmosphere. Jared gripped the seat tight. It wasn't the best ship, rusted walls, flickering lights, broken floor panels. But it was flying. That's all that mattered. Leary sat beside him, wrapped in a thin blanket. Her eyes were closed, but he knew she wasn't sleeping. She was listening, waiting, fearing. The pilot, a reptilian alien named Grail, kept his attention on the controls. His scales shimmered dull green under the red lights of the cockpit. I hope you know what you're doing, Jared muttered. Grail didn't look at him. I don't. I just know who I hate more than you. Jared looked out the small window. Below them, the colony was shrinking. Smoke still rose from the ruins of his food shack. Everything he had built, gone in a single night, all because of one alien girl with hungry eyes and a glowing shard. What now? Jared asked. Grail grunted. I know a place. Not far. A moon, half dead. No law, no patrols. You'll be ghosts there. Safe? No one's safe when the Syndicate wants you dead. Jared's stomach turned at the name. The Syndicate, a secret power behind the colonies. Everyone whispered about them, but no one dared speak their name in public. They controlled trade, planets, even people. If Leary had stolen from them, it was more than dangerous. It was a death sentence. She'll need more than hiding, Grail said. She needs allies. Proof. A voice louder than fear. Jared looked at Leary. She has one thing left. Grail nodded. The crystal. Hours passed. Leary finally spoke again, her voice soft and tired. They're not chasing just me. They're chasing what I know. Jared sat beside her. Tell me. She stared forward. I was raised in the mines of Zeros 9. We were born there. Bred to work. To suffer. I never saw stars until I was 16. She paused. They strapped machines to us, pulled energy from our blood, our cells. Some didn't survive. Others changed. Changed how? Jared asked. Some became less. Others became too dangerous to control. I was one of the few that could hold the power and stay sane. Jared swallowed. Why didn't they just kill you? Because I produced the highest yield. Her face was empty. I was valuable. Jared clenched his fists. They didn't see me as a person, just a fuel tank. He didn't know what to say. Nothing would make it right. Nothing ever could. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. Grail cursed. We've got incoming. Jared jumped to the window. 3 dark ships approached. Black, fast, no lights. They found us. Leary stood. They won't stop. Grail shouted. Strap in. I'll try to lose them. The ship banked hard, throwing Jared into his seat. Lasers sliced through space, narrowly missing the hull. Why are they chasing so hard? Jared asked. It's just one girl. No, Leary whispered. It's what's inside me. Jared turned. What do you mean? She took a deep breath. When I escaped, I didn't just take the crystal. I took something else. She lifted her shirt slightly, revealing a glowing pattern beneath her skin. It pulsed, soft blue light, like living energy. Jared's eyes widened. Is that inside you? They injected it. An experiment, a living core, a piece of the original source, the one from your planet. She nodded. I shouldn't have survived, but I did. Grail shouted again. We've got a breach. One of them's boarding. The ship rocked. Jared grabbed a wrench. Leary clutched the crystal tight. A loud clunk echoed from the back of the ship. Someone or something was coming in. Jared ran toward the rear chamber. The airlock hissed. A figure in black armor stepped through, tall, faceless, deadly. Jared swung the wrench. The figure caught it midair and tossed him aside like a rag doll. Leary screamed. The armored man turned toward her. Then something unexpected happened. The crystal in her hand flared, bright, blinding blue. The armored man staggered back, holding his head. Leary didn't run. She stepped forward. Her voice was calm. You tortured my people. You made us less than dirt. But you didn't break me. The man reached out, but the light from her body grew stronger. Sparks danced along her skin. Her eyes glowed like burning suns. Jared watched in disbelief. She wasn't just a victim. She was becoming something else. Something powerful. Grail managed to shake off the pursuing ships. The intruder lay on the floor, unconscious. His armor fried. The room was silent now. The glow faded from Leary's body. She dropped the crystal into Jared's hand. You still want to help me? She asked. Jared didn't answer right away. He looked at the broken man on the floor, at the burn marks on the walls, and then back at the girl who had asked only for food. Yeah, he said softly. Now more than ever, the sky outside the ship burned with red fire. Grail's freighter shot through a storm of black drones, lasers streaking past like falling stars. Behind them, Syndicate warships tore through the clouds, hungry to kill or capture. The air was thick with smoke and plasma. Jared held tight to the railing, the ship shaking violently under his feet. Sparks rained down from the ceiling. Leary was strapped in beside him, bruised, silent, glowing faintly under her skin. We're not going to make it, Jared shouted. Grail growled from the cockpit, gripping the controls with both claws. If we break through the outer sky field, I can jump us into the drift. But I need 10 more seconds. We don't have 10. Another explosion rocked the ship. Jared fell hard, hitting the floor near the unconscious Syndicate soldier. The black armored figure was still alive, breathing slow, but his helmet was cracked. Jared saw blood. He looked at Leary. Even injured, they were still chasing her. You said there was a place they couldn't follow, Jared said through gritted teeth. Leary nodded. The broken moon. They think it's dead. No life. No signal. You sure? I lived there before they came. Jared stared. Before the Syndicate? She nodded. Before they took my people. That moon was our last sanctuary. Now it's just ruins. Another explosion shook the ship. Grail roared. Hold on. The ship dove through thick clouds, and suddenly silence. Black sky. Endless stars. No more shots. No more chase. Jared blinked. Are we free? Grail gave a sharp laugh. Not free, but out of range for now. 2 hours later, the freighter dropped out of drift space above a small gray moon. It was cracked like an egg. Broken ridges, deep valleys, long abandoned structures half buried in dust. The surface shimmered with leftover radiation. No signs of life. No signals. Nothing. Looks dead to me, Jared muttered. Leary stood beside him, her eyes soft. It's not dead, just forgotten. Grail landed the ship near what looked like a collapsed tower. As they stepped outside, the wind howled across the wasteland. Dry, cold, empty. Leary walked slowly, her feet crunching on the dry soil. She stopped in front of a wide crater. This was our home, she said quietly. My people lived underground, in tunnels. Are they still here? Jared asked. She didn't answer. She just started walking. They climbed down into the crater, finding a rusted hatch, covered in ash and time. Leary brushed it off with her hands. She whispered something in her native tongue, and the door clicked open. The tunnel inside was dark and narrow. Old lights flickered to life. As they stepped in, Jared followed her through the halls. Dust, silence, echoes of a lost people. Finally, they entered a large room, and then, movement. A figure stepped from the shadows. An old alien man, hunched over, skin faded like dried flowers. His eyes widened when he saw Leary. You are alive? He gasped. Leary froze. She stepped forward slowly. Uncle, the old man dropped his walking stick. We thought you were gone. They told us they said you were dead. Jared watched quietly as the two embraced. There were no more words, just soft crying and the shaking of two souls reunited. Grail leaned on the wall. I'll keep watch. Just don't take too long. The Syndicate never forgets. The man's name was Reneth. He was the last elder of their people. He told them how the moon was attacked, how survivors scattered. Only a few remained in hiding, barely alive. There's not much left, Reneth said. No food, no medicine, just fear. Leary nodded. I have something that can change everything. She pulled out the crystal. Reneth stared. You still have it? It holds the truth. About Jeros 9. About the experiments. About what they did to us. Reneth's eyes filled with tears. You were just a child when they took you. Now you carry our only hope. Leary looked at Jared. We need to broadcast it. Reneth shook his head. There's no working relay left. There might be, Jared said, if we boost the signal from orbit. Grail grunted. That's suicide. They'll trace it in minutes. Then we send it in seconds. Jared replied. We send it everywhere at once. And we vanish before they can stop us. Leary stood slowly. I came here for safety, but now I know I have to. As night fell over the broken moon, the small group prepared for something bigger than survival. They weren't running anymore. They were ready to reveal the truth. But in the shadows beyond the crater, something watched them. A hidden drone, silent, recording. A signal blinked once, and somewhere deep in Syndicate space, a cold voice whispered, "We've found her." The wind over the moon's surface howled like ghosts. Inside the underground tunnels, Leary walked silently ahead, holding a small blue torch. Jared followed close, his boots echoing on the stone floor. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became, filled with strange hums and forgotten energy. This place wasn't just a home, Leary said. It was a vault. We hid things here, things we couldn't let them find. Jared looked around at the dark walls. Symbols were carved into the stone, glowing faintly in the torchlight. Soft swirls, ancient markings. Nothing like what he'd seen before. What kind of things? He asked. Leary glanced back at him, her voice low. Memories, evidence, and the last living piece of our origin. They reached a sealed steel door, covered in dust and vines. Leary placed her hand on the panel. Her skin glowed softly, and with a sharp click, the door opened. The room beyond was massive old machines, crystal data drives, hologram projectors, and walls full of photos. Images of her people before they were broken. Families, children, laughter, all frozen in time. This was our archive, she whispered, before the Syndicate turned it to ash. Jared stepped forward slowly. He saw a flickering hologram, a recording of a young Leary, smiling beside a woman with the same eyes. Your mother? He asked. Leary nodded once. They took her first. Jared lowered his eyes. Then a light flickered on the far side of the chamber. A monitor. Static at first. Then a grainy live feed. A girl's face appeared. She looked just like Leary, except she was in pain. Chained. Pale. Eyes dull. Leary gasped. No. It can't be. Jared stepped closer. Who is that? Leary's voice broke. That's my twin sister. Reneth arrived moments later, shocked at the sight. She was taken during the first wave, he said. We thought she was gone. Jared stared at the screen. Where is she now? Reneth tapped on the interface. This feed, it's active. Coming from Zeros. Leary's hands trembled. She's still there? After all these years? Reneth nodded, but barely. Look at her. On the screen, Leary's sister lay still. Machines surrounded her. Liquid tubes connected to her arms. Her body glowed faintly blue just like Leary. They're using her too, Jared whispered. She's the other source. Suddenly the feed distorted. Then a cold voice crackled through the speaker. You should not have opened this. The screen went black. The room went dark. Jared's blood froze. We've been tracked, he said. Growl's voice came through the comm. I just spotted movement outside. Not locals. Leary turned to Reneth. We need to move. Now. But Reneth didn't move. Instead he looked away, shame on his face. I called them, he said. Jared froze. What? Reneth lowered his head. I told them you were here. They promised to spare the rest of us if I gave them you. Leary backed away, eyes wide. You betrayed us. I thought it was the only way. We're starving down here. You sold your own people, Jared said, stepping in front of Leary. Reneth fell to his knees. I was desperate. I didn't know about your sister, about the truth you carried. Jared looked toward the exit. Too late for regret. We need to go. But it was already happening. The ground shook. Explosions rocked the tunnel. Syndicate troops were breaching the vault. Jared grabbed the crystal and pulled Leary down a narrow path. This way, he shouted. Behind them, armored boots stomped through the chamber. Lasers lit up the walls. Reneth screamed, and then there was silence. They ran deeper into the archive tunnels, through collapsed corridors and ancient storage halls. Leary led them toward a hidden lift. There's a hidden hangar below, she said. We kept emergency ships for evacuation. If one still works, we can escape. The lift groaned to life. Dust filled the air. Jared looked at her. You okay? She nodded. I have to save her. My sister. We were born together. We'll die together, if we have to. He didn't argue. He just stood beside her as the lift dropped lower, into the dark. At the bottom level, the hangar was nearly destroyed. Old ships lay broken, burned, forgotten. But in the corner, one shuttle still glowed, power weak but alive. They climbed in. Jared booted up the console. System shaky, he said, but I think I can get it airborne. Lurie looked out the window. Syndicate soldiers were closing in, black shadows in the tunnels. She placed the crystal into the ship's core. It lit up, brighter than before. The engines roared. Now, she said. Jared hit the thruster. The ship launched upward. Dust and stone flying in all directions. Blaster fire chased them, but they escaped through a collapsing tunnel. As they broke through the surface and into the sky, Lurie looked down at the broken moon. She had returned for the truth, but now, she had something more. A mission. Her sister was alive, and if she had to walk into hell itself, she would bring her home. The stars outside the shuttle flickered like cold eyes. Inside, Lurie sat in silence. Her hands rested on her lap, but they trembled. Jared piloted the damaged shuttle, steering through dead space, heading toward a destination neither of them could see, only feel. Her twin sister was still alive, trapped, used, and Lurie was done running. I want to go back, she said suddenly. Jared turned his head, shocked. Back. 209. That's suicide. I don't care, she whispered. I can't leave her. I won't. Jared was quiet for a long moment. We can try to rescue her, but if we go in now, they'll kill us both before we even touch the ground. Lurie stared out the window. Her voice low. She would have come for me. That silence between them, it hurt more than words. Then a voice crackled from the ship's comms. Unknown vessel. This is the Syndicate. Identify or be destroyed. Jared cursed. They've found us already. Lurie stood slowly. Let me talk to them. What? No. She walked to the comms panel and pressed the button. Her voice was calm but sharp. This is Lurie. I have the crystal, and the living source inside me. There was a long pause. Then a deep, cold voice replied, you have something we want. What do you want in return? Minutes later, a location came through. Zeros 9, but not the mines. The tower, where the leaders sat behind silver glass, untouched by pain, guarded by fire and steel. Jared paced. You're walking into their trap. I know, Lurie said. Then why do it? She turned to him. Because I have something they fear. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm the proof. I'm the fire they tried to control. He stared at her, jaw clenched. Then I'm coming with you. No, she said. This is my bargain. You're the backup. What if I fail? You broadcast everything. Use the crystal. Burn their lies. Jared's voice cracked. You're asking me to watch you walk into the lion's mouth, alone. Lurie smiled sadly. It's the only way to free her. Waiting for them, tall figures in suits of dark armor. No weapons visible, but the threat hung in the air like a blade. Lurie stepped out first, alone. The guards said nothing. They simply walked ahead, expecting her to follow. She did, through long silent halls, through metal doors, and cold white lights, deeper into the beast's throat. Finally, a large chamber, sleek, clean, empty, except for one man, sitting behind a clear glass table, tall, sharp, unblinking. The director. He smiled as Lurie entered. You've grown, he said softly. She didn't respond. He looked her over like a scientist studies a rare insect. Still glowing, still strong. Where is she? Lurie asked. He tapped a small console. A screen lit up. Her sister, barely conscious, hooked to wires, lying in a glowing tank. She's safe, the director said. For now. Lurie clenched her fists. What do you want? He stood and walked toward her. What I always wanted. Balance, peace, energy. You are the key. You tortured us. We studied you. You were born with something special. We gave it purpose. You destroyed my people. He shrugged. To build a better world. Sacrifices must be made. She pulled the crystal from her coat. Then let's make a bargain. His eyes lit up. You give me my sister, alive and free, she said, and I give you this. He held out his hand, but she didn't move. Not until I see her walk into this room. The director sighed. You're still stubborn. He tapped the console. A side door hissed open. 2 guards entered, carrying her sister, pale, thin, barely breathing. Lurie ran to her, caught her before she collapsed. I'm here, she whispered. I'm here now. The sister looked up weakly. They told me you were dead. Never, Lurie said, crying. The director stepped forward. Now, the crystal. Lurie stood slowly. She held it out. He reached, and then she threw it to the floor. Crash. It shattered. Light burst out in a wave. Blinding. Wild. The director screamed. Lurie's skin lit like fire. She held her sister tight. As the room shook. I am not your battery. She's outside. Jared watched. From a hidden drone. He saw the flash. He heard the alarms. He grabbed a backup copy of the crystal and slammed the emergency broadcast. Every network, every system, every world. The truth went live. Everything. Videos, files, names, experiments, data, unleashed across the galaxy. The syndicate's lies, exposed. Minutes later, Lurie stumbled out of the tower with her sister in her arms. Jared ran to them. You did it, he said. No, she said softly. We did. But in the stars above, syndicate fleets were already on the move, and the final war had just begun. The message spread like wildfire across the stars. Planets paused. Stations froze. Screens lit up with horrors long buried. Images of chained aliens, lifeless eyes, torture masked as science. The name Zeros 9 echoed across galaxies. People wept. People screamed. People remembered who they were supposed to be. Jared sat in the shuttle, eyes fixed on the blinking console. The broadcast had gone out. All of it. There was no turning back now. Behind him, Lurie lay on a thin bunk. Her twin sister curled beside her, still weak, but breathing. You did it, Jared whispered. But Lurie didn't smile. She looked at her sister's pale face and closed her eyes. Not yet. Outside the ship, chaos had begun. Syndicate fleets scrambled to regain control. Riots broke out in colonies. Civilians started pulling down syndicate flags. Workers stopped working. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Some even turned against their commanders. Truth was a weapon, and Lurie had just fired it. As Jared repaired the shuttle's damaged systems, Lurie sat under the stars with her sister, holding her hand. She doesn't speak much, Jared said gently. They drained her, Lurie replied. But she's in there. I can feel it. A long silence passed between them. Then Lurie turned her head. You saved me, Jared chuckled. No, you saved yourself. I just handed you soup. Lurie smiled faintly. That smile faded quickly. There's one more thing, she said. Jared tensed. Lurie, I still carry the source inside me, she said quietly. That's why they're still coming. You're not going back, he said sharply. We're done with that place. Lurie didn't answer. She just looked up at the stars. Hours later, Graal returned with news. They've put a bounty on her, he said. Massive. Every hunter in the quadrant will be after you. Jared stepped forward. Then we run. Graal shook his head. You can't run from this. Not anymore. Lurie nodded. He's right. I'm not just a witness now. I'm the symbol of what? Jared asked. Hope, she said. Resistance. A reason to fight. Jared clenched his fists. So what? You'll just sacrifice yourself? Lurie stepped closer. I can't let my sister live in fear again. I can't let another girl beg for food while carrying the truth. Her voice cracked. I was ready to die when I met you, Jared. I had nothing left but that crystal, and you gave me soup. That broke something in me. Broke the numbness. He looked down, jaw tight. Then let me come with you. She shook her head. No, this time, I go alone. Jared stepped back, eyes stinging. But, what about us? She smiled, tears in her eyes. This is us. The next day, at sunrise, over a broken moon, a single message went out. To all who suffer, to all who hide, to all who think no one is coming, I'm coming. You are not forgotten. The message wasn't sent from a warship, not from a leader, just one girl, one spark, carrying light into the dark. Jared stood at the edge of the landing bay, watching the small escape pod fly into the sky. Lurie had taken nothing but a small backpack, her sister's old pendant, and the copy of the crystal now glowing faintly inside her. She was heading toward a secret network of rebel sympathizers, toward danger, toward war, but she went willingly because she had chosen to be more than a survivor. She had chosen to be the voice for all those who had none. Weeks passed. Jared reopened his old food stall, this time on a free planet. People came from all over. Aliens, humans, refugees. He gave food to all, no question. He kept a photo of Lurie taped to the back wall. No name, just her eyes, glowing. Sometimes people recognized her, and they whispered, she started something. One rainy evening, a little alien girl stood in front of his stall, barefoot and shivering. She looked up and asked, can I have a hot meal, please? Jared smiled. He gave her soup, just like before, because he remembered what Lurie gave in return. Not money, not power, but a reason to believe again. And that broke his soul more than anything else, because it was beautiful and real.